Hey there, Autism Fitness founder Eric Chessen, leading the movement for movement, and welcome to another edition of Autism Fitness Tuesday Training. This is going to be a good one. A lot of people have asked me about group fitness programming or adapted PE programming when you have more than one athlete, which is often the case. So how does autism fitness programming, and in particular, the PAC profile method, apply when we have a group or class setting? So, of course, the PAC profile is our standard operating procedure. It is our compass for everything that we do in autism fitness programming. So we do want to know the physical, adaptive, and cognitive capabilities of each athlete who is participating in that program. Now, the thing is with group programs, sometimes you are going to have the ability to choose which athletes are in that particular group. And then sometimes, often, and in most cases with school programs, you're going to have a mix, and this mix is going to be dictated by who is in that class automatically. So you're going to have the students that you have, and we need to find a way to optimize it. And that's exactly what I'm going to help you with right now. So you are able to assess each athlete, and they don't need to be assessed individually. Of course, independent assessment is always optimal, but optimal is not always immediately available. So if we're assessing each athlete's skill with each exercise, that's the physical. So we're going through our 3 phases of movement: our warm-up, our power, our strength, and we're figuring out each athlete's baseline, and we want to create scalability in that group program. So if you have, I'll demonstrate how this works in reality. If you have 2 or 3 different athletes and they're all doing hurdle steps, but those 2 or 3 different athletes are all doing hurdle steps at a different level, so different heights of hurdles, different amounts of hurdle steps as well, we can plan for that. The key is it needs to be scalable. Scalable means that for each athlete, we can progress, make more challenging, or modify, make less challenging, the exercise so that it meets the current level of ability for that particular athlete. So we can do this in a group situation by having the appropriate amount of equipment and having the equipment set up in a way that's conducive to the current level of physical ability for each athlete, right? Second part, our adaptive functioning. How motivated is each participating athlete? If you have an athlete who is highly motivated and they are cooperative and they're going through every single exercise and every single activity, awesome. We still want to provide positive behavior support, but at the same time, we may not need to implement any type of secondary reinforcer or an extra break or access to a preferred activity, especially if the exercises or even some of the exercises themselves are already reinforcing. So the athlete doesn't need additional reinforcement to participate. This is awesome. There are other athletes who are going to need a high rate of secondary reinforcement in order to participate in the program. So for them, it could be a break card, it could be a token board, it could be access to a preferred activity. It could just be a couple reps of a medicine ball push throw, for example, and then performing and then taking a break. So from here, we look at cognitive functioning. Cognitive functioning refers to how we're going to coach and cue each athlete. This comes down to both the athlete and the exercise that the athlete is doing. So some athletes are going to be independent quicker with an exercise. Oftentimes the medicine ball throw, so our push throw or our overhead throw, an athlete is going to be more independent with earlier on. And an exercise like a squat or an overhead press, they need a lot more guidance, sometimes even a light physical prompt as well. Again, this is going to vary between your athletes, and that's the reason why we need to assess so that we can address each athlete's current level of ability. Because among those 3 or 4 or 5 students, you might have 2 or 3 who are independent with that overhead sandbell press, and the other 2 or the other 3, depending on the ratio here, need that light physical prompt, or they need a mirror prompt. So a couple ways that you can structure this, and this is the real take-home stuff that becomes instantly usable. Once you figure out the current physical, adaptive, and cognitive level of each one of those students, we're finding the scalability. So in setting this up in a group situation, One of the ways to do it, and the best way to do it with a group or class, is to set up different stations. So you can have, for example, in the warm-up, you can have a hurdle step station, you can have a walking band pulse station, you can have an overhead band walk station, and each athlete who is going through that station, you are able to coach and cue them to what their current level of availability is and their current level of ability as well. So their availability, are they coachable, and their ability. You're going to know both of these things in advance because you'll be assessing each one of these skills, and then when you're putting it into practice, you'll know where each athlete's current baseline ability is and be able to coach towards that. In that type of situation, each athlete in that program is going to get the most they can possibly get out of it because you don't have to teach at a significantly modified level for everybody there, and you don't have to go too progressed and make it too challenging for everybody. You're going to be able to meet each participant where they're currently at, and that is where we're going to see extraordinary results for each one of those participants, because even though it's a group or class situation, the program can still be individualized and they're all getting what they need out of these same exercises. Final tip in group programming is do a lot more of the same stuff. Why? In a one-to-one program, it may be easier for us to do 3 or 5 or even 6 sets of each exercise. With a group, even if it's the same time, because there are more participants, there's going to be less opportunity to perform each exercise. And what that's going to result in, greater training effect so that our athletes really get what they need out of each program. So those are just a couple tips on group programming. If you want to become an absolute expert in implementing fitness and adaptive PE programs for the autism and neurodivergent groups that you serve, it's time to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro. You can learn more about it in the link below. If this has been helpful for you, please like, subscribe. We're now over 1,000 subscribers. And of course, share this with someone who might greatly benefit from it. I'm Autism Fitness founder Eric Chessen, leading the movement for movement. Thank you for watching.